Hi everyone, I am going to show you how to make these beautiful Christmas angel ornaments. They are a lot of fun to make. They work up super fast. You can make an angel in about 15 minutes and they require very few supplies. So let's go ahead and go over the supplies that you'll need to make these. So the first thing you're going to need are some wooden dowels, and we're going to use these to create the angel's body. So I have 4 wooden dowels. They're 4 inches long and they're about 1/4 of an inch thick. I will leave a link to where you can purchase these in the description below. You're also going to need a 20 millimeter bead for the head. So it says 20 millimeters or 3/4 of an inch, depending on what measurement you're using. We're also going to need 2 6 to 8 millimeter beads for the hands. So again, you can use either 6 millimeter beads or 8 millimeter beads. They're about 1/4 of an inch if you're using US measurements. We also have a little star embellishment there, or I'm sorry, a heart embellishment that we're going to use to decorate our angel. I have a little piece of twine that's about 20 inches long, and then I have a little string that's also about 20 inches long. Next, I've cut some macrame cords. This cord here is cut to 12 inches and these 3 cords are cut to 12 inches as well. We're going to use that for the collar, and then we're also going to use it for the belt. I also have a button for the halo, and then 20 to 24 inches of ribbon for the angel wings. I have some yarn for the hair. This is just scrap yarn. For this angel, we're going to use this yarn right here. I'll leave a link to this as well if you're interested. And finally, we'll also need macrame cord. This is single ply macrame cord, and we're going to need a bunch of that to create the angel's dress. You'll also need some scissors, flush cut pliers, and then a glue gun. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the arm. So I'm going to cut my wooden dowel to about 1.5 inches. And I'm just going to cut that and then measure, and we have 1.5 inches. Now I'm going to line up the rest of that wooden dowel with my 1.5 inch arm that I had already cut, just to get them the same size. And now we're going to add the hands. So I'm just going to add a drop of glue to the 6 millimeter bead that I'm using here. And I'm just going to attach it right to the end of one of those dowels. So now we have one arm and one hand, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the other arm. And then I'm just going to set these arms aside while I work on the body of the angel. So to work on the body, or to create the body, I'm going to grab 2 more wooden dowels. I'm going to add some glue right to the very top of one, and I'm going to cross the other dowel over it so it makes an A shape. And I'm just going to hold that there for a second. I'm going to cut my last dowel at the 2/3 mark. So I have 2/3 of that 4-inch dowel, and I'm just going to add glue to the ends, and I'm going to attach it to the bottom of our frame here. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the rest of the wooden dowel and just add it to the top there. And this is just going to reinforce our frame. I'm going to add our twine to the top of our A-frame. I'm going to tie it into a knot, and then I'm going to string both ends of the string right through my 20 millimeter bead. And this is how we add the head. I'm going to tie my twine in a tight knot right at the top of the head there. And I may even double knot it if it seems like it needs a little bit more reinforcement. And then I'm just going to loosely tie off the rest of the twine just so it stays out of my way while we work on the next step, which is to wrap the dress onto our little angel's body. I added a drop of glue to the back of the frame. The back of the frame are the sides where the dowels were attached. I'm going to press the end of my macrame cord into that glue dot, and then I'm just going to wrap it tightly around the top of the frame. So this is the neck that we're working on now. So I'm just going to maybe do 2 or 3 wraps nice and tightly. And then I'm going to turn our little angel over on the back side, and I'm going to apply some glue to the 2 sides of the legs there. So I'm just going to add a little bit, maybe about an inch of glue on each side. And I'm just going to keep wrapping around and making sure that I catch the glue just to securely attach our cord to the frame. And this is going to create the angel's dress. So then when I get to the end there, I just turned it over to check and make sure the front of our angel looks good. And I'm going to add a little bit more glue and just slowly work my way down the frame until I get to the bottom there. So I'm just going to keep wrapping, catching the wraps in the glue, making sure I put the glue on the back side of the angel. And the back side is the side that we attach the dowels to. And I'm just going to keep wrapping. One trick that I have is that when you have your macrame cord, I unwind it from the spool before I put it on the angel, just because it makes it easier to get like a nice clean wrap, to not have to pull directly from the spool. And I'm just going to keep wrapping until I get to the bottom, and I'm going to cover those little feet on the end. And then when I get to the end, I'm just going to make sure that the feet are covered from the front, and then I will just cut the end of the cord there, and then just add a little bit more glue just to make sure that it is nice and secure on the bottom there. And just be careful not to burn your fingers. And that looks pretty good to me. So now we can look at our pretty angel, see how she's shaping up. Her body and her dress looks good. Now we're going to work on the collar. So we're just going to braid these 3 12-inch pieces of macrame cord. And I just held it down with a piece of tape on my craft mat. It just makes it easier to do the braid this way. And then when I get to the bottom, I'm just going to tie it off with a little rubber band. And I'll add a link to the rubber bands as well. And then I will remove the tape, and then I'll just add a rubber band to the other end as well. And now we have all the makings that we need to make the collar for the little angel. And it's going to be a real pretty collar as well as a sash. So now we can move on to attaching that. So I'm just going to pick up my collar and bend it in half, and then just place it along the back of the angel's neck, like right underneath the wooden bead there. That's her head. And I'm just going to cross the 2 ends over each other. I think that makes a really nice sash. And I am going to just, once I get the placement that I like, I'm going to hold it with my thumb, and then just take my other 12-inch piece of macrame cord and just wrap it around the angel's waist 4 times, just to create a little belt there. So I'm just going to hold it tight and just wrap. And then I'm just going to tie a knot along the back here. And then this is where we're going to add the angel wings later. So I'm just going to knot that, and I'm just going to cut off the ends of my cord there. And she is looking so beautiful. I am just going to go ahead and shape the bottoms of her sash. I'm just going to cut the ends off. I just pushed up the one side of the sash just to make the 2 ends of the sash a little staggered, just so that they look nice. I'm making sure that the sash does not extend beneath the bottom of the dress. And now we're going to add the hair. So for the hair, I'm going to take a 5-inch surface, and I'm just going to wrap my yarn around that 5-inch surface, and that's going to give us 10-inch strands of hair. And I'll just show you how I do that. So I'm just going to wrap my yarn around. This is a thin yarn, so I'm going to wrap it around about 50 times. And then when I'm done, I'm just going to go ahead and take my scissor and just cut one end of the yarn just like that. And then I have my beautiful angel hair. Now we're going to go ahead and attach the angel hair to the top of the angel's head. So I'm going to go and untie that loose knot that I added to our twine earlier. And I'm just going to place that little stack of hair right in between these 2 pieces of twine. And I'm going to make sure it's right in the center. And then this is going to end up making a part in her hair. So I'm just going to line everything up, make sure my yarn is in the center of my twine, and then I'm just going to pull and tie a knot. And I'm just going to make sure that knot is really tight. and I'm going to make sure that the knot is on top of the head. So if I need to, I'll just pull the knot upwards, and then I'm just going to go ahead and reinforce my knot. And now we have the angel's hair. So I want some of her hair to be pulled back. So I just grabbed a few strands of hair on either side. And then I'm just going to turn the angel over and just tie her hair back with a little piece of string, and then just add a little bow as well, just so that it looks nice and pretty. So after I make my knot, I'll just tie a little bow, and then I'll cut the ends of the string. And now I'm going to take my hot glue, add it to the back of the head, and then just press the hair right into the glue so that the hair will stay down. I'm also going to do it on the edges as well. So right on the side of the head, you don't want to get too close to the face, just along the side, just so that the hair stays in place. Honestly, you could just add the glue to the back of the head and not do this on the sides. But if you want a secure fit, you can add it to the sides as well. And I'm just going to add our halo now. So I just have a little silver button, and I'm just going to add my twine through either end of the button there, or either both of the buttonholes, I guess is a better way to put it. And if you have 4 buttonholes in your button, just make sure that you attach the twine on a diagonal so it sits nicely and centered on top of the head. Once I've attached my button, I'm just going to tie it into a knot. And there are lots of different options here. You could use a white button, you can use a gold button. It's really up to you. You could also make a little crown out of maybe some wooden beads and add that as a halo. I'm going to just tie a loop at the top so that we can make our ornament hook. And there we have it. So our angel is looking really, really good. I'm going to add a little embellishment to her belt. So I have this pretty little resin heart, and I'm just going to add that right to the center. You could also add buttons, you could add beads, you could add like a little saying. I have some examples I'll show you at the end where I just added a little saying like blessed or hope. For the arms, I'm just going to add a strip of glue right under the collar on the side, and I'm just going to press the arm right into that glue. And then I'm going to do the same on the other side, right beneath the collar, and then right along the belt on the side. I'm just going to press our little arm right in there and make sure that it's attached right under the collar and then along the belt as well. For the angel wings, I'm going to take a piece of organza ribbon that is 24 inches. So I just folded it over on itself so you could see it on the screen. And then I'm just going to fold it again in half. And then we're going to make a bow. So basically what the angel's wings are, it's just a bow. It's that simple. So if you have a ready-made bow, you could also add that as well. If you have another way of making a bow, that's fine. But this is how I did it for this angel. I just folded the ribbon over itself twice, and then I just tied it right in the center very tightly. And then I'm just gonna separate the edges of the ribbon just so that they kind of stick out and fan out and then look like angel wings. So I'm just going to keep playing and pressing with my organza ribbon. And then I'm going to add a dollop of glue to the back of the angel and just attach the wings right to the center of the back. And there we have it. So there is our little angel. She's all finished. I think she's just beautiful. Here is another version that has blonde hair. I also have some versions that use a really pretty white burlap ribbon that I'll show you in a second. This is the example with the little saying on the belt that says blessed. I'll add a link to where you can find those charms as well in the description below the video. This is that beautiful burlap ribbon that I used for the angel wings. I'll leave a link to that also. I found it on Amazon. And then we have another angel who's decorated with little buttons and a saying. And then I love this angel who has a snowflake. The ribbon that I'm using here was actually, it was used to tie a comforter that I just bought from Pottery Barn. So that's where I got that ribbon. And that is it, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it inspires you to go out and make lots of little Christmas angels. These are great ornaments, great gifts. They're also good as gift tags on top of gifts. They're good as teacher gifts, maybe. Just have lots of fun and make lots of little angels, and I will see you again in the next video.